Hey, welcome back, everyone. I know we had some requests for this one, so I got the Vintage Mystery Packs Baseball. We'll have plenty of time to chat as we go through this one. Now, I was a little more apprehensive on this one. The only reason is I know a little bit of the vintage baseball, but that 70s, 80s, I'm sure you guys have known. I don't know quite as much, and it's always difficult opening stuff. I don't mind you guys pointing out when I miss stuff. That's life. But it's the one thing I do struggle with sometimes. So I can put up with everybody giving me a hard time for it because I deserve it, but it is a hobby. So I don't get too crazy. I know somebody had mentioned about opening these actually just as you go. Cards from the past and today. Now, we all remember this. So bear with me again as we're going to try to rip through these as efficiently as possible, and hopefully not too much craziness. I'll get efficient. Now, I do remember they did put the one card sleeved in each one, and so you guys have to call me out because there's going to be some rookies I imagine I'm going to miss in these stacks because this is going to be so many different years to cover, but we'll see how it goes. Dale Murphy. Doug Corbett, so hopefully it's not too crazy. Ed Casco. That is a weird coloring on that one, to be honest with you. So I think the last time we did a big box like this, I kept 4 or 6 cards or a little bit more. But again, I hate these because the way the packs are, the sleeves are bent up, making the cards kind of bent as well. And so we'll see how it goes here. Brunsby, the Random Studio, Daryl Hamilton, 82. Mark Davis and Dan Gladden. Now, what's kind of weird is we only saw the almost got me. We were almost going to have red packs. Then I would have definitely not enjoyed this rip as much. Michael Koss. So these don't have any guaranteed hits compared to some of the other ones they make. Pete Rose, have a cool one. Erg. That's, again, I do like getting some of the old vintage in here, though. At least this time with me keeping a handful. As usual, I'll be able to hang on to some of those. I'm going to throw that one up there just because the... Here on that one. Hey, there's a rookie. Mike Hartley. Wally Joyner, Burns, kind of the older ones, Hatcher, Earl, 84. Really, isn't there a McGuire rookie in the USA Basketball that, again, it's so weird some of the random rookies back then. Again, I didn't really collect much baseball into maybe the 90s. And then it was just Twins. I honestly bought more packs, besides for Upper Deck. I got a lot of Upper Deck Collector's Choice stuff. And then I was always chasing the Jordan stuff anyways. Al Morris. Don Sutton. Man. He covered a few years in his career, you could say. Hank Aguirre. Hurst. Jones, Murphy, Manslaw, Alan Anderson. I shouldn't say I'll miss a ton of rookies in this because they gotta throw a bunch of rookies in here first. Well, this side looks like it'll be easier to rip. So hopefully one side will have a little less tape on it. So I think we've done the football. Well, there we go. Old Nolan Ryan. Pujols, Harper. I'm going to re-sleeve this one. We'll see how this one looks. Not too bad. The corner's obviously not great, but still a cool card. They surprised us, I think, in some of them where they threw us actually some different rookies. I mean, obviously, we're a few years off from Nolan Ryan's rookie on that. Just a few. He pitched a few years too, didn't he? Obviously. It was so crazy. I think that was one of the Nolan Ryan things because I was a pitcher and he had talked about how he didn't throw a crazy, I think he just threw a fastball and a changeup. Was his main pitches in high school. I think it was him anyways, and he was talking about how it was such an unneeded and bad on the arm for these youngsters to be pitching. Wally Joyner. Here we go. Garvey. Whit. Swan, Dave Parker. Gotta open the old sleeves up though. It's a good sign, which means we're sleeving up some cards. I do wish that if they were going to throw some of these in here though, they'd be in a little bit better condition, but that's kind of the way it goes. I'll just throw this one in a top loader. We'll throw that one back there. Not a bad start so far. I think these are about the same price as the rest of these from this brand. They're like 90 bucks or so. Ooh, no sleeved one up in this one. Mike Greenwell. Mike Schmidt. The look back then is pretty priceless though. Gotta admit that. Marrow, Howard Johnson. Steve Kemp, Darrell Hamilton, and Fielder. And they could be throwing in all junk wax, so we gotta be pretty happy with that one. Andre Dawson. He just looks like he's gonna go up there and smack a home run or two. Greg Brock. Burt. And that is that. See, some of these have more tape than others. Man, I'm still wondering how long it would take to tape and wrap each one of these packs. And it is still just crazy to me. Mark Leonard, Rupert Jones, Jim Bibby. Yeah, I mean, 77. Mark Davis, Jim Dwyer, Howell, Chalk. Well, we're getting, I mean, I would say vintage-wise, we're already doing pretty well. They're throwing some pretty old cards in. I mean, that Nolan Ryan was pretty cool just itself, and then getting some older ones too, so. Stillwell, Reggie Jackson. That is definitely not a new one. We got rookies. There's Kemp, Woods, and Lopez from that 77. Throw that one up over here. Fernando. He's button. Interesting to see Andy Van Slyke. Ken Hill. Gardner. I've seen that name for a few. On a card especially. Well, we see the Jim Abbott sitting right in the back here. Lee Smith. Another old Nolan Ryan. We'll have to re-sleeve that one too, but I think they've Bando. They might have already dinged up these corners. Like I said, I just don't know why. You know, you can already see kind of the mark on the bottom there. He's got Nolan and Nolan. Now, if they threw in a Nolan rookie, we're sliding that one over to have the two Nolans right there. Again, cool cards to pull. The only crap card is condition, but we already kind of knew that from the other boxes we opened. Kirby Puckett. Ooh, wow, that's an old one. That's an old one. Now, these you would expect to be in not as good a condition, of course. But that's not too bad. Wade Boggs, 86 Donruss. Dave Justice, Frazier, Ferris. I will say, seeing the vintage cards, I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but I remember the first taste I got of vintage cards was my uncle. He comes over with this tin box, and weird that a house had burned down, and he had found a tin, and in that tin was a bunch of early 60s. So it was early 60s, the franchise. It was early 60s. Check here. Sorry, that'll probably cut out weird. My thing was beeping at me again, so I had to plug it in. So, the franchise. Bill Mazeroski, Randy Bush, Doc Edward, Hoffman. It's kind of a cool insert, though. Of course, I've had people ask, the youngsters, 5 of 28 is not numbered 5 of 28. That is the insert checklist number, essentially, is probably the only way to explain that one. It's hard to figure out how to explain that one. Be like, they just don't number them that way anymore. I go Essler, Ryan Sandberg, Greenwell, Calhoun, Bronx Bombers. Oh, the Reggie Jackson, that's a cool one. We're gonna have to sleeve that one up. Slightly off center. Just slightly. And then the Sandberg. But anyways, Uncle had found a tin of old cards, and I thought it was kind of weird because it wasn't his house that burnt down. It was just a house that had burned down and had been sitting there, and he just, for some reason, decided to walk through it and found the cards. So, Joe Kelly, throwing those over there. So, he gave them to me to hang on to, but then, like, I mean, I'm guessing it must have been 8-10 years later, he came and was like, hey, do you have those cards? Because he wanted them to go sell them. Because there was good cards in there. And they weren't damaged too much because they were sitting sealed in the tin. Tin, Pete Smith, Trebek, Lurch. Yeah, I know there was Willie Mays in there. There was some good stuff. So I was hoping he would forget about them. So apparently he just had me hang on to them for 8-10 years for safekeeping, I guess. Or maybe he gave them to me with the intention not to care, and then down the road realized, like, oh, those cards might be worth some money. Nolan Ryan. A little bit of a newer Nolan Ryan. More Wade Boggs, 83. Sleeve that one up as well. Boone, not too old. Rudy, throw those in the mix. Wade Boggs, that one's not as bad, that top loader. Let's throw that one down there. All they had to do is leave like one corner open when they wrap these. Just a spot. Livingston, McCaskill, Tony Gwynn. I mean, this isn't too bad. We're getting some fun cards in here. Brian Jordan. Throw that back there. Spills and Farr. Obviously, you can see this one is, again, even taking it out of these, I don't even like to do, but a little further. Well, that one actually is in really good condition. That's impressive. For being in that thing, I am surprised those corners are not rounded. I think that'd probably be my favorite card so far. I know, the two Nolan Ryans I like. Who doesn't like Nolan Ryan? Who doesn't like Nolan Ryan? I'm sure you will chime in if you don't. You'll have to give me a reason why, though, too. Here, Lucas. Well, look at that. They actually did throw an auto in your 175 out of 6,995 limited edition futures of Steve Torrealba. He's on everybody's list of rookies, right? Leone, Gary Sheffield, and Nagy. I mean, I'll throw it in the top loader just because it's a numbered rookie, but let's face it. It is funny. I think somebody joked around that with baseball players in the 80s looked like they were 40. They all look like grown adults as rookies a lot of the time. Here, Schofield, Yankees. Whew. Just the card. Just great year of cards. Wally Joyner. Egan, Diamond King, Cecil. I wasn't expecting the red Diamond King to be in there. Leach, Rick Aguilera. Well, at least we know we still got hits. We still got cards coming. That auto was kind of a pleasant surprise in a way, but I'd rather see another old Nolan Ryan, I guess, out of that one. Look at that. Craig Maddux. Oh, man. Ruben Gomez. That obviously isn't the right back. Again, fun getting some of these older year cards. Joe Carter. Now, he looks a little bit younger, but still looks older. Ryan Fisher, Oscar Gamble. Fernandez at Philly's finest. It's a cool one having Schmidt and him. I think we have enough displayed at this point. Doug Drbeck, Jim Rice, and Foster. Man, why do I swear I've pulled this out of a different product that we did? Something, the exact same card. Greg Biggio. Take Biggio. I know when I joke and say it the wrong way, I'll hear about it. A few packs to go. What do you guys think about this one compared to the other? Tyler Houston, first round pick. Sure. And then another Aaron Weston, 175 out of 6,995. Why, though? Ken Herbeck, Ellie, Lemke, Medina. I mean, some of these, too, you see some of these rookies, and they're not the bigger names, so. For somebody who likes a variety, I could see how these would be pretty fun. Lance Johnson, Smith, Downing, Helms, see, Acker, Ed, Dave Ford, last pack. What do you guys think? Overall, good time though. A very good array of vintage to me is the biggest one. What? Then our one-sleeved one. Chuck Finley. Oh, man, are you kidding me? Just why? We were on such a good run. We were on such a good run. We thought we were going to end it with another cool vintage card. Skinner, Joe Carter, Brian Clark. And then this is what you do to us. A pitcher, Kyle Muller. And to me, it's only crazy because we didn't get almost any cards post like 1995. I mean, these were probably the 2001. So we have the 2 from 2001. That was the newest. All of a sudden, they just throw in this pitcher pat, which it's so pointless at that point. Like, leave it vintage. I mean, that's just me, but what do I know, right? So let's see. Well, this will be interesting. I mean, no matter what I do, we're going to have a lot of vintage. So let's recap all these things. It's still kind of a cool insert there. Well, so I'm going to go through, I'll go through these three first because I won't be hanging on to those. I'm going to go through just kind of like some of the stack of vintage because I thought these are pretty cool. Got the Wade Boggs, obviously. Among others, there's other stuff in here, but so we got that, the 2 autos, if you know who those people are. So some of the old stuff. Helms Jim Rice, Phillies Finest, Ruben Gomez, another Nolan Ryan, I mean, the years on these are just fun. Hundley, Ryan Sandberg, Bronx Bombers, Zarowski, that's how you say it, Reggie Jackson, Jim Bibby, Andre Dawson. I mean, just some cool cards. Mike Schmidt, MVP, Steve Garvey. Not even in the baseball uniform, basically. Pete Rose. I mean, Casco. The Wade Boggs. Wow. And then the ones up here. Mizzle, pretty old. Is that how you say his name? I'm sure some of you guys have watched baseball then. Armas. I don't know. I might end up keeping this one just being the age of the card. And just that set alone. I mean, some of these other ones are there too. I mean, but yeah, that's a tough one. Carlos Berga, Bill Stafford, Tony Gwynn, Wally Joyner, and then the 2 Nolan Ryan. This to me is probably my favorite out of all the cards. I do have some older Nolan Ryan cards just from collections I bought over the years. So those 2 are fun. I think I'm going to go with keeping these ones up here with the Tony Gwynn. Loving that card. That card's actually in great condition too. But of course we have all of these other vintage ones. Yeah. I mean, that's usually kind of what I do. I'll just keep the 4. There's plenty in here, man. I could, you could pick all day, but I think these are a great lot, especially for somebody looking for a lot of just vintage stuff, minus the 1 card. But yeah, lots of fun. And we still had all these ones too. So this one I'll have to get a bunch of pictures when I post it, but what a fun rip. What do you guys think for like the 80 to 90 bucks that these cost? You know, I know the 1 Nolan Ryan should be pretty good value-wise, but if you add up these $1, $2, $3, $4 at a time, I think it's not too bad and obviously a lot of fun. So there it is. Thanks for tuning in. You guys have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.